All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's Pebbler Mastermind. There was just so much going on this week in terms of webinars and live streams. I totally forgot to even publicize this one as much as I should have been. But I actually, first time, was able to correctly invite everybody onto the calendar event. So actually, I feel like we have a bigger turnout than usual. And then also, for those of you guys aren't able to watch this now, you'll be able to watch it on our YouTube channel afterwards. So today we have the privilege of having Fede, is that right? Fede
That's
and
perfect.
Andrea here. They're both from a company called Fabrica. I usually call it Fabrica.land. I don't know if it's Fabrica or Fabrica.land. Which one is it? What should we call it?
Well, the company is Fabrica, but Fabrica.land helps with the
Yeah.
with the website clearly. So that's perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Just got a couple more people to introduce or bring in here. Awesome. All right. So how the Pebbler Mastermind works, it's typically sort of, we'll have somebody on here to chat about something, or Kevin and I will share something, and then we're just going to open up the floor for Q&A, whether it's for REI conversion related or Fabrica.land related, whatever it may be, or anything in between. So feel free to jump in after we sort of open things up for Q&A. So Fede and Andrea, welcome once again. Fede, can you tell us, there's like a lot of people have been asking, what is Fabrica? I've been showing, hey, people have been asking me, is there a way, what do you guys suggest for payment? I've been sort of talking about you guys, and they're like, okay, well, what's the difference? What's so great about these guys? Can you sort of summarize what you guys are attempting to solve here with Fabrica?
Absolutely. Thank you. So we offer an online tool that allows you to perform real estate transactions online. So we help you sell your properties online. And by selling, I mean that we take care of the closing and managing all of your payments. So let's say that you have a property that you want to sell and you have a buyer online. You add the property to our system. We create a link for you. It's a URL so that you share that link with your buyer, and the buyer goes through a very easy checkout process, and we take care of managing all the payments. If you have a payment plan like you do seller financing, we take care of that too. So all you see is the money coming to your bank account, and at the end we take care of transferring the title as well.
So how are you guys different from other companies that sort of take payments? I know it's sort of a very open-ended question there. Um, what sort of makes you guys sort of different from any other company that sort of takes payment for, quote unquote, real estate?
Well, let's be clear. First of all, we are licensed to take payments for real estate. That's not always the case with any of the tools that people end up using to process the payments. And we specifically designed a product for real estate use, for a real estate use case. So we take care of not just the payment, but also the title transfer and all the complexity that it comes with that. And we use a unique approach in a sense. Is what we do is that each property on our system is held into a container. It's a trust. So that is the system that we use to transfer the property from one person to another.
Got you. Kevin and I were actually speaking about Fabrica yesterday. Excuse me. And Kevin, you were sort of wondering about the process, about who do we basically deeding that property to who, and how does basically logistic work behind all of this?
Yeah, mechanically wise, when I purchase a property from a seller, am I still deeding it into my company's name, or do I deed it into this Fabrica trust, or does that happen later on in the process?
So the way it works is that you own the property, you still own the property, but you own it through a trust. So yes, there's a trust in the middle, and that's the name that it appears on the deed, but you have full control of that trust. And the trust is transferred from one person to another. And that happens, we typically, it depends, but you can do it at different moment in time, but what we have seen that works very well is that people set up the property, and then the deed is actually signed a little before the transfer itself. So it's something that you can do anytime you want.
So I could still do my normal process where I deed it to my LLC, and then after I have it in my LLC's name, I can then deed it to this trust.
Yes, correct. And I can,
Okay.
if you want, guys, I can give you like a quick demo of the product so you see what it really looks like. I think it's the best way to
why
get a
don't you-
sense of it.
You
That'd
can
be
share
great.
your screen here.
Yes,
I think
sure.
there's definitely a lot of people that are curious about this, so it's great that you're going to be able to.
Okay, let me see. And that will clearly be, yeah, there's always like the demo effect. So let's hope everything works as it should.
we're software people here. We know, we understand.
Okay, awesome. So I'm logged in. What you're seeing now is like I'm logged in with a test user on our test platform. And that's when you're in, you typically have a portfolio with the properties that you own. This is an example property in Montecito that I had created. Okay. But to show you how it works, I will add a new property so you get a sense of the whole process, as Kevin, as you asked. So I click on add a new property, and this is just a page that tells you basically what we're doing in terms of like what it means to add a property to Fabrica, but I'll just skip and you start from something very easy. So you can put in either your APN in the county that you work and state, or you can start from a street address if the property has one. So I'll add a property in Arizona. I continue with the address. And what we do is that we pull information from the county data. So you can see the boundary of a property and its APN and the latitude and longitude. The legal description, we ask you to basically copy and paste it from your previous deed when you acquired a property. So let's just type something like example legal description here. I mean, it's just a test. And we ask you like, how do you own the property? And it could be like in your name, the name of this user is like Hillstone. That's like a fake user clearly. Let's say that you own it through a company as a suggestion, like Promised Land LLC, and you are the CEO of the company or member or whatever.
Okay.
And we ask you to put in a successor. That is in the case that something bad should happen to you, like who's gonna take over if there are issues on, and we'll say that it's like John Smith. My address, and when I continue, it's when we are now creating the digital representation for that property. Our title documents are being generated, but this is something we do in the background, so you don't have to worry about it. And what I can do now is that I can continue and decide to put it for sale. So that's the interesting part. And let's say that I want to sell this property for $20,000 or $10,000, and let's say financing price will be $12,000 with a down payment. Well, let's make it more like $15,000 with a down payment of $3,000. And I want to be paid over the next 24 months, so 2 years, with an interest rate of, let's say, 10%. And I'll charge my buyer $15 property tax per month and a servicing fee of, let's say, $10. So that gives you a sense of what the buyer will be seeing. So it's a down payment of $3,000. He'll end up paying like over $500 per month, and including all the fees
and
the
all this
total payment.
Sorry, just to cut in here, all these sort of numbers that you're inserting here, are these all broken down to your buyer as well when they are going through the checkout process?
I'll show you the checkout process. Some of them are. It's slightly different from what you see here. But when he's in contract clearly, and you will see also in the land sale contract, all the details are visible. So short answer is yes. Some things are less visible than you see them here. Let's just try it. Let's change a few things to see how that would change on the plan. And you see that as I change the inputs, clearly all the details here are updated. Okay, let's say that this is what I want. That's good. I'll click on continue, and here you can link to your listing. So if you have your website, you can add some information about your page. Let's put in like something just one address that we use for testing. And now we are generating the contracts. So there are two contracts involved. One is about the land sale contract and one is the actual transfer agreements. And these were generated with information that we had just put in. So if you look at the land sale contract, it's very interesting. There are all the details about the terms that we define. So the contract is there, it's already done. You don't have to take care of it. And when I accept everything as a seller, I'll put in my name, which is, so it's covered by Hillstone. So I'm signing the contract this way. And in a few minutes, we have created the property online and it's ready to be sold. And you'll see we are generating a link. This is a very important thing. This link is all you need to sell this property online. And you can attach it to your website. You can link it in your website, put it on TikTok or Instagram, wherever you market your property. And any people will be able to follow that link, go through the process and buy the property.
And if you're using
you're done.
If you're using an REI conversion website, essentially you're just going to copy that link and it'll replace the payment link on our website. So we're also going to make it easy to surface a Fabrica payment logo or button on there as well. So that is something that'll be showing up eventually.
Perfect. Yes. And you see now in my portfolio, I have the property that you had seen before and the second one that I've just added like while we were chatting, and you have the link and the price and it's ready. So you can clearly cancel the sale, put it for sale again. You can do several things. Just to go back to your question, like what does the buyer see? Mm-hmm. Well, let me log out and pretend I want to buy the property that we have just put for sale. So I'm now logged in as Luke Peach. I don't own any property. My portfolio is empty. I had created this account just to keep the process shorter. But I'll now go to the link that we had created with the seller account, so that you can see the process that a buyer goes through. As a buyer, what you see is the property, some information, the legal description, and you can potentially click here and get more information about the title and history. There's the link to the listing page and the seller name, which is Hillstone, and we verified the identity of each buyer and seller. So this person was verified online. And as a buyer, that gives me a lot of like peace of mind that I'm buying something that is real and from a real person. Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
And when I continue, like some information about like property taxes, the price is final, pretty standard things. And here's what you were asking. So I can either pay this property in full or with the financing. So you see how much I'm gonna pay each month, the total and the down payment. And if you want to get into the details, you can click on view financing details and you will find the terms specified here.
Gotcha.
And there are other things like how it works, when is the title transfer, but these are like the beefy stuff is in this page, I would say. Mm-hmm. Now let's say that I want to buy it right away. I want it now. I want to pay it cash. Pay full, continue, and I will link my bank account. So we process payments through ACH. Mm-hmm. This is clearly a test, so I'm not being charged, but I'm connecting my fake account at Chase now, and I'll pay from my checking account. So I'll get a review page that allows me to see the property that I'm buying, the price, the amount, one-time payment, from which bank account. I can review the documents and nominate a successor for the same reasons before, John Jr. I'll say that I accept all the terms and sign with my name, that is Luke Peach. When I click on complete purchase, I first need to check all the boxes. And when I click here, I'm buying the property. And in a few seconds, the system will confirm that the payment has been initiated. And once the payment settles, I own the property. And there's nothing else to do. So you as a seller don't have to take care about anything else. No deeds, no notaries, nothing. It's done already. That's most of it, I think.
Great.
I guess
Now
Stop
that
sharing the screen.
the documents there, that document is
And
showing the
wait, hold on a second. For some reason, I can't hear you guys.
oh,
can you hear us?
Oops, my bad.
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
We
hear
can hear
you. Can you hear me?
Okay, speaking of demo, that's what happens. I don't know. Let's remove the AirPod and see if it goes better.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So
Sorry about
I was just asking, the seller will never receive a physical deed, right? They'll just see essentially the contract that's transferring the trust to them. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. But we provide, since people love to see documents, we have a transfer agreement with the signatures for each transfer that states clearly that the transfer happened. And we also have a certificate that is like a proof of ownership for the current owner that they can use for any legal reasons.
Okay. And so just to be clear, if say a buyer who bought the property called the county and said, who owns this property? The county will say the Fabrica Trust owns the property. Right.
Yes.
And then they would then see, well, I've got my documents say that I am the owner of that trust.
That's correct. That's
okay.
Very accurate. And on top of that, let me say that when the trust is transferred from one person to the other, we do notify the county about that. And
you do? Okay.
We do, yes. And we do tell the county what's the address of the new owner. So the county basically sees that the property is in the name of a trust, but the address on file is the current owner.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So yeah, that should alleviate a lot of concerns.
Awesome.
Another cool thing that I can give you like a quick peek at is like how the seller financing component works, because I think it's very powerful and it's probably the number one feature that people asked about.
Yes.
And for that, I'll share with you my actual, so I'm about to show you my actual portfolio on Fabrica. Share screen.
And by the way, guys, I do see those questions, and we'll get to them. I see a few of them from you, Jason, and we'll make sure we get around to them after this.
Okay, I'll share this page. So what you're seeing is in my name, the properties that I'm currently buying as an investor, as a land investor from some other land investors. So this is my portfolio. Some properties I own them are for sale, others are off market. I'm buying these properties on Fabrica with financing. And I'll show you like this first property here. This is what I see as a buyer, but you would see the same thing as on the seller side. So if I click on a property, I can see the property, all the documents, transaction history, and the payments. This is the nice stuff. So these are all the payments that are scheduled for the next few months on this property. So I know that I will pay this payment in a few days, and it's scheduled, and that will bring down my balance to to that amount, and I'll finish paying this in about a year or so. And I see this as a buyer, but also as a seller. The seller of this property sees the very same thing. So he can check all the payments, download a CSV that he can add in his QuickBooks or whatever. And the cool thing is that, again, there's nothing to do. And if I want as a buyer to, let's say, make a payment now, even if it's early, you can decide to pay the remaining balance or just, I don't know, like 300 and pick a date, let's say Monday. And if I continue, I will not do that now, but payment would be charged on my bank account and go to the seller. And that's it. And the interesting thing is that the seller doesn't even have to know. He will receive an email the moment that the payment is coming, and that's it. Nothing else to do. So you can automate your whole like land investing business this way. So you will have a dashboard, a portfolio, hopefully bigger than mine, with several properties and all the payments coming to your bank account, and that's it.
Great.
Awesome.
Now, how about if a seller stops paying? Is it my responsibility to reach out to them and figure out what's going on?
So it's a good question. What we do is that we take care of that. So essentially we notify both the buyer and the seller that, hey, you have missed a payment, you have a certain number of days that you can, grace period where you can send your payment and we are cool, or we get to a point where you're in default and basically the property goes back to the seller and the buyer doesn't have any more rights on it.
Okay.
To be honest, it very much depends on the state you're working in, because despite what you read around, there are like some things that are very specific state by state, and we are doing our best to make sure that we follow the law in each state.
Sure. What, by the way, what states does Fabrica service at the moment?
We are currently up and running in California, New Mexico, and Arizona. We are looking at other states to support very soon, clearly, with like Colorado, Florida, Texas being like at the top of the list, I would say.
Sure. Great.
And do you sort of have a timeline of when you'll sort of expand into those areas? I know that's probably a big question you guys get a lot of. It's
a big question. I'll tell you, we are looking at ways to speed up the process and open up more states. So there are two components there, honestly, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think. So there's like handling the seller financing component is one thing, and handling the title transfer is another. We clearly want to do both, but we might be able to take a shortcut on the seller financing component and roll it out on more states before we do the full title transfer.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying it's easier to do the seller financing piece than...
Well, I wouldn't say it's easier, but from a regulatory perspective, it might take us less time to open up more states for that than for the title transfer component.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
Interesting.
It's a highly regulated industry.
Yes, right. I am well aware. But actually, it's great that you know, by delegating to you, I can hopefully be confident that you have done the homework and the legal work to figure out what is the proper way. Sometimes when I'm doing things on my own and I'm writing my own, purchase contracts and promissory note things, and I don't know exactly if I'm doing everything to the T. So that's nice to know that somebody can take that off my plate.
Yeah. And let me be very honest here. I think that we have designed that listening to many of your inputs from many of you, and Travis is here in the room. Travis, kudos. I mean, you have helped us a lot to design that around your needs, and I hope that matches the need of everybody else in the room here.
Yeah, it's been huge for us. I was going to try to cheat here and multitask a little. I need to load some properties for sale. We have about 4 that I need to load. So I was kind of following along as you were loading that on my dashboard. But when you touched on it may be taking longer to roll out in states to do cash sales as well. When you said, though, maybe you could do seller financing in other states, it kind of ears perked up, because for us, absolutely. We, much like right now, if I'm looking to use a new software or something, I'm almost going to Zapier and doing a search first, because if it's not integrated, that's not an option, right? I'm starting to even like look at like states with that for seller financing with Fabrica, right? I was already looking at your drop downs and going, what states are in there? I'm always peeking to see what states, and I know Andre and I swap emails, but because as I'm looking, or even as we're coaching or consulting students, that's a consideration as your note portfolio grows. I go, is this a Fabrica state, right? So if you guys were in 10 states, in my mind, I'm going, if I'm going to do a lot of seller financing and build up a portfolio, having that client portal that we now have for our borrowers, I can tell you one of our loans we had with you guys in Kern County, California, this gal was paying 3 or 4 times a month extra payments, and which was great, but it was just constantly, it was texts, sending texts or messages through Follow-Up Boss back and forth, and then she'd want a QuickBooks invoice. And anyway, since we've moved the loan to Fabrica, I just get a text, not a text, I get an email, with a little money bag emoji in the subject line that says, you've been paid an extra payment on your loan. And it's been hands off. I haven't heard from this gal. The downside is I need to remember to pop in there and check, because it almost went the other direction where it was constantly, back and forth with borrowers, to now I'm like, oh, other than looking at the bank account, I'm not hearing much from them. So I assume the loan's going fine, which is a good thing, So yeah, the portal's been great. The borrower portal, them having the ability to log in there and pay extra or check balances, it's removed us from it, and we're kind of getting ready to make another big push. We sold off a large loan portfolio recently, but we're getting ready to dive back into seller financing pretty deep. So,
And that was something that you
definitely
stayed away
reset.
from, right, Travis?
What's that?
Seller financing was one of the things that you stayed away from until you sort of started
Well,
working.
we did a lot of seller financing. I mean, had a large note portfolio, but it became so high touch and
Right.
so kind of the tail wagging the dog, these borrowers constantly texting you and calling you, and it just, if you can imagine being pecked to death by 1,000 chickens, that's kind of how I got, right? And it's not worth the $15 a month note servicing fee times 100 notes.
Yeah.
Sell one more property a year of cash, and and don't worry about that. But so we were still doing or notes and seller financing, but we were starting to consider just doing cash sales only. Just because once we're done, we don't have to deal with that borrower. So we're slowly moving away from that, but now this has allowed us to look at that more as like another line of business, where we do a lot of seller financing at 15,000 and under, and then a lot of cash sales with title at 15 to 70,000, right? But so now we can run our seller financing almost as one line of business, since we're not servicing the loans. The borrower has their portal with Fabrica, and now we can kind of focus on direct mail acquisitions and then disposition with realtors and title on larger margin deals. But yeah, so we were looking at getting away from it, just because it was getting annoyed and frustrated with what sounded great in the beginning, the mailbox money, later became kind of an annoyance. Once we started.
Yeah, definitely.
Travis, by the way, we named the feature after her name of her customer. So I won't say her name, but that's how we call that feature.
That's what you call that feature? Yeah, yes, exactly.
She does, it's like our number one tester for that feature. She goes on making extra payments, and we love that.
And speaking of, since we implemented that, we never heard back from her either. So
right,
I guess it worked.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah,
Awesome.
we're liking it, and it's great for us. So it was absolutely, the more states you roll out, then the quicker the better. We can start looking at expanding in other states.
Yeah. Let's jump into some of the questions we have here in the chat log. So Jason's got a few questions here. I'm just going to read them off here. Currently using Stripe for a document fee, then QuickBooks and Intuit for each monthly or credit debit card, monthly lease purchase payments, and a loan servicing company for check payers. Could we use Fabrica instead? I think that's sort of somewhat answered.
Yes, I would say like quick answer to that. Of course you can, and it's pretty easy because we basically cover all of the things that you do through different tools. And we have a system also to help you with migrating more properties. So you don't have to go one by one. You send us a spreadsheet and we take care of that part. And we'll migrate all of your plans.
His other question is, and I think this is a good one here. How do I explain to the buyer who's expecting to see my company name when they look up the property at the county assessor?
Mm-hmm.
And this was before the demo, so we did see a little bit about how that's shown there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but shortly to that, they will see at the county assessor, at the county recorder, they will see the property was went from your company to the Fabrica Trust, and they are buying it. They are buying the Fabrica Trust essentially.
Can we bill taxes once a year instead? Is there an option for rent and rent credit instead of these more typical seller financing parameters?
So taxes once a year, we haven't done that. So till now we are seeing like monthly payments, but it's something we could consider. The other cool thing that we are looking into is to take care of the property taxes ourselves. So we have done that with a few customers. I don't know if Travis, we tested it with you or not, but essentially for the properties that are on the system, we pay the property taxes and then we charge the current owner. So so it's one less thing for you to do.
Okay. Do you provide support for delinquent payers?
That was covered, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How far do you go into the foreclosure process in that situation? Where do you cut ties and let us?
Say it again. Sorry, Jason. I lost you for a second.
Should you have to proceed to foreclosure? Where does your help end, or do you see us all the way through?
It's a good question. So we haven't. That hasn't happened yet. So we haven't seen it yet in details, honestly. But you know, the contract that we used was specifically designed for your needs, and it's a standard contract that the property goes back to the seller if the buyer doesn't pay, and it's pretty straightforward.
It doesn't eliminate it, Jason, but Fabrica operates off of ACH, not credit card, and we've found in our own loan servicing business, when you shift from accepting credit cards for monthly payment to ACH, and increase your down payment a little more, instead of 10% downs, we move up to 20% down payments. ACH auto draft, we have a lot less foreclosures or defaults like that. It's not going to eliminate it, but again, just drafting from ACH, we don't have as near the issues we did with credit card and foreclosures.
And do you prefer a daily delinquent fee or a monthly fee for those who are late payers?
So I don't remember actually what we have in the contract right now. I can get back to you with that.
Jason, if you want to go ahead with your other questions you have here, I unmuted you. So.
Like the ones from the chat. So that would be like, does your trust
Okay,
work?
so you're looking to expand into different states right now. How are you taking usury laws into your decision-making process with that and usury law exceptions?
So we'll go state by state. So currently we are limiting the amount of interest that you can set in the plan, so that it matches what you can do in each state.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So if you're filling out that form and you exceed the interest rate, you'll get an error saying you can't do that.
Correct. You cannot put a property for sale for more than the usury rate in that state.
Great.
Jerry here asks, how is Fabrica compensated? I'm assuming, what sort of pricing plans do you guys have? And do you want to explain that side of things for us?
Yes. So we charge about two things that we do. So first, on the seller financing side, we charge $19 per month for each property that is under seller financing. And that includes everything. So it includes all you just pay that. So we take care of all the ACH fees and transfer fees, everything. So it's $19 per month flat.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how many extra payments, like in Travis' example, the buyer does. And if you sell the property as a cash transaction, it's $299 per transfer. And that includes everything like recording, documents, deeds, and so on. Oh, and one thing, sorry. When you do seller financing and at the end of a plan, the title is transferred to the buyer, that's already included. You pay nothing.
Okay. What if a seller or a buyer asks about title insurance? Do we have, is there an answer for that, or can we purchase
Yes,
title insurance?
we currently don't provide it directly.
Okay.
But we are looking into our big next plan is to provide that too. So
Okay.
that a buyer can basically add a checkbox. The idea is to have like a checkbox where you say, yes, I want title insurance for an extra whatever, and you
Okay.
get it.
Yeah.
It will take a while. Let me be frank. It's very complex, but that's
Sure.
the direction we're going to.
Okay. Gotcha. Great.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions?
Now there's a couple of questions from Jason that we haven't touched, which is like e-recording, notarization.
They were
and so
pretty
on.
much answered as you went along your process. So those ones are definitely answered, but I am curious, clearly seller financing is an option, but you seem to be sticking with land contracts and not using lease purchase agreements. Are there any plans to include that in the future?
We are looking at more sophisticated, let's say, or like more customized, like more complex contracts for the financings as we down the road. So the idea is to get to a point where we basically do also mortgages completely online.
Mortgages. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's long-term plan.
Awesome.
Thanks again. If there are no other questions here, I'm going to be wrapping this up here. But if you guys have any questions for Fide and Andrea, you can always reach out to them. What's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Jump on the website and in the chat down bottom right, you will find a chat. It's either me or Andrea replying to that. We're a small team. We're there.
You guys are full support.
Yes.
And Andrea also put the his email in the chat as well, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you. Yeah, a question for you guys. What do you want from us? What do you want in product? What is missing? What is that you like? Tell us what you want, and we will see what we can do.
Well, I'll say that first of all, this looks fantastic. I'm going to the next few properties I pick up, I'm going to definitely put them through this, and hopefully I'll have some more requests as we go through that process. But I think probably states, if we can get more states, that would be perfect. I do get questions about title insurance. You know, most of my buyers, they don't even think to ask, but I have had a couple where they know the process, they know real estate, and they'll say, I want to go through this title company and I want to get this title insurance. I guess if they do that and they're strong about it, I'll just have to go that path instead of through Fabrica. But I guess for those, if we can get title insurance through Fabrica, that might alleviate some of those concerns. Yeah, so those two things are I guess our biggest requests.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for everybody attending here. Travis, also thanks for chiming in, and it's always nice to have you on here. Fide and Andrea, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy days to join us on this call. And hopefully we'll continue to hear more great stuff coming out from you guys. I know you guys are really busy, so do keep us posted. And if there's another chance that you guys want to hop on this again and do another mastermind here in an open group chat, I'd love to have you guys on again.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again for all you guys
everybody.
that came out. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks,
Cheers, guys.
everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.